Chris.
What's up? They're like, we're really squeezed in, man.
I know. It's like I'm in a sausage party.
You're in the comfy body. Like a pillow.
Everyone relax with the teddy bear.
Yeah.
That's just because you're in the middle.
Oh, yeah. Amy, what's up? What's up? Hello.
Good morning.
Joe, what's up? Morning. Danielle, hello. Mike, what's up, buddy? Mike, just had a big game, getting after it. Mark, what's up? Riles, what's up, buddy? How we doing, brother? Riles, you around? You in town? You coming to WSI? Check it out. Lion, what's up, buddy? Susan? Oh, there's Susan. There we go. Mike getting after it. That was a good game. He played well. Yeah. He played well.
We got some of our players.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pop's on trainer out.
Nice.
Solid game. Yeah, solid game. Well, we got a couple guys coming on. Miro, what's up, buddy? What's up? Well, hey, guys. Today, I'm excited.
Yeah.
We got one of my brothers on today, a living legend in the game. Absolute living legend. The one and only Coach Steve Novgorod.
How we all doing?
Lion says, what's up?
What's up, Lion? I miss you.
Yeah, he's the best. You see his picture? His profile pic is unreal. Dude, Lion, it's super slick. Like, he just looks badass.
He was awesome. He was in Connecticut.
He's a beauty. Total beauty. Chris, what's up? Danny, what's up, buddy? Brian, thanks for coming on, guys.
Can you guys hear us okay? Can you give us a like or
Yeah,
a comment? Let us know
yeah.
you guys can hear us. Thank you
good,
much.
Nice,
Cool.
Awesome, coming through, beauty. Awesome, guys. Well, right now, Glicker, what's up, buddy? Right now, guys, we're a couple days in to WSI, Most Likes Invite. We got the 03 together. It's been fun so far, eh?
Yeah, big win today.
Yeah, big win, shootout win.
Team Bloodline.
Oh, yeah. First official Bloodline win. Jeff, what's up, buddy? Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty badass. I have like coming together. Like one of the things we were talking about how like doing this, the process of that we worked through, and to see the boys come out today and like bring it together, to see them come together in game 2, so quickly was pretty awesome. Eh?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, they definitely adjusted from game 1 to 2.
Yeah,
started to become more of a team, and
Yeah.
they're having a lot more fun, which obviously makes it a lot easier
Exactly.
to win and buy in and do the things they need to do.
exactly. Isn't it amazing? Eh? Like one of the things I know was cool that you brought up of like if we didn't do the work beforehand, that was necessary to prep them. No way were we coming in and like being able to instantly just create that type of culture after that. Eh?
Yeah, no, I mean, the stuff that they did prior to the event really helped them as a team to be successful. Like the first game we played as a tremendous hockey team, and we wouldn't have been in the game with them if they just showed up and we handed out mock jerseys. And I think that was definitely a huge piece to why they had, success in that first game.
Oh yeah, the preparation.
Yeah.
The preparation.
And it helped build for the second game.
Yeah.
It gained momentum into that second game, and they started to buy in more of their identity of what they are.
Exactly. And the buy-in, guys, I think from a coaching standpoint, and that's a big part. Like, so yesterday we did the opening ceremonies, guys. So we had an unbelievable panel. We had Doug Christensen, Mark Howe, a couple different guys there, Danny, right? There was Brent on there. And some cool, like, great guest panel across the board. One of the things when Mark Howe was talking, right, legend of the game, one of the things he said that was really distinct that he talked about with the players, and it was a little bit hard to hear at times, and for the people that heard it, Mark had brought up as such a huge piece. When we talk about buy-in, guys, he had talked about the reality of when players go and they play for other coaches, it's basically saying that, are you buying in, right? Are you listening to the coaches? Ultimately, listening to your coach was his message, right? He said it across the way. He goes, are you listening to your coach? And that's the idea and concept of buy-in. And what was powerful about that I wonder how much it kind of flew over a few heads when he brought that up, was the reality is that the coach is the director, right? We have to have a game plan behind it any single time we're going into anything that we're doing. But what happens when players are younger, they can get away with a lot of things when they're younger. When they're younger, you're the best player, do whatever you want. We know culturally that's what goes on. It's what it is. We've been guilty of that at times too. Like the best player, okay, go do your thing. But it's amazing how what he said there was so powerful of, and we're dealing with it even now, trying to get some guys, making sure they buy in quickly and understand that at the end of the day, when you want to play whatever, major junior, Division I, professionally, whatever it is that you want to end up doing, and it doesn't matter what it is that you do, you work for another company, It's being able to be led and say, you know what, I buy into the message. Yes, I'm going to listen to the coach. I'm going to listen to the owner, the boss, whatever it is. And I'm here to provide a role for you. I think it was a really powerful part.
I just like hearing
The
you
boss.
say you're going to listen to the boss.
Listen to the boss. So, yeah, exactly. Coach Carl, what's up? What's up, Caitlin? What's up?
Bye. Hey,
What's up? Brad, what's up, buddy? Joe, yo,
buy-in
Zach.
is definitely important. And what's sad is, unfortunately, like I was sitting in the front row and that went over, like I didn't even hear that part.
I know,
and I think if people that really needed to hear it too probably didn't.
Yeah.
But definitely important, because I think that's something as parents going into a situation, going into a team, especially like now a lot of you may have new teams for next year or whatever it is, but like you, good, bad, or indifferent, like you've selected to play on that team for that coach. So it's time to buy in and just accept the game plan of the coach, and that not start trying to act like you know more or better.
Well, somebody has to direct the ship, right? We know, like, there has to be like the unified direction, right? At the end of the day, it's like, that's the whole point, is like, are you able to listen to somebody that gives that unified direction? And that's the
And when
toughest part.
picking your team, that's what you have to realize, that that's the person that's going to lead the ship for you, and you need to be okay with that.
Exactly.
I think the other thing too is like with these teams, like, you know, you're in a good tournament with a lot of good players,
Right.
and you form a team, and there's a lot of kids who are on their team, are top guys or whatever, and they're coming to a team together, and sometimes their roles have changed, and they have to be able to adapt and buy into those roles to be successful in these tournaments.
What do you guys think about buying in? You like that? Give us a like, shoot us a comment, let us know. Do you agree, disagree? Bring it on today. So I want to definitely hear your feedback.
She's getting better, eh?
Give us a like, give us a love.
Jordan, Bobby Thornton, another great coach there. What's up, buddy? Joey McConnell. What's up, brother? What's up?
There we go. Okay.
Oh, yeah, there we
We're
go.
a little delayed.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
by the time we see it,
it goes through. So, prep school hockey. Right? One of the things, guys, so we're here coaching together, having a blast. But obviously take advantage here. We're like, yesterday we go, you know what? Hey, 11 o'clock, we're going to be back in time. Let's get on the bear trap.
Snuck me in here.
Exactly.
Naomi's favorite. She was devastated.
She's already in love with Coach Steve. She's already in love.
Oh, yeah.
He's gonna put me to bed.
She encouraged you to come in last night and give her a kiss goodnight.
Yeah.
She comes in this morning. She comes into our room. And she's like, doesn't look for me. Like, she's looking for you. She's like, where's Coach Steve? And I'm like, they have a game. Oh, so they'll be back for breakfast? And I'm like, well, not for your breakfast. They'll be back later. But
so funny.
yes,
So funny.
you don't get to stay at our house and we don't throw a camera on you. So
Yeah,
these guys have a camera.
Cameras, lights, microphones. No, famous today.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Look at this. They love it.
Oh, yeah.
You love Coach Steve? Let him know. Let's get some hearts. Let's get some hearts. Yeah.
Lion, you better throw in my way.
Yeah, Lion. Give him a
Give him a
love.
heart.
Give him a heart. But no, obviously, thanks for taking the time out to jump on. It's just an important part of prep school hockey, right? A big part. Denise, what's up? So a big part, right? Prep school hockey. One of the things that's funny. I remember years ago, wasn't a fan of it. I wasn't believing it. Obviously, didn't come from that background. Was ignorant to it. Didn't know a lot. But as time's gone on, now the last maybe like 4 or 5 years, after understanding really what it's all about, the culture. I mean, I'm completely all in and bought in. I love it. And again, it's an option. But today, I'd love to talk about why it's such an important option. I know we deal with why it's such an important option, but what you guys offer is one of the best programs in Connecticut. And it's amazing to see what you've done, with the program between Yale, Loomis, and the idea behind it. So it's kind of like start jumping into that, but about prep school.
Yeah, I mean, I think, there's some things that scare people about prep school. Obviously, I grew up in Los Angeles. I played, junior kings my whole life.
West Coast.
And, had to, decided to take a path to go to prep school. And I was kind of weary about it and stuff. And the reason why I'm so into prep school is because of what prep school did for me, right? It helped me become a student athlete. It helped me to mature and grow up, getting away from my parents. And, obviously the first time you go, it's hard for the parents. It's hard for the kids, more than what people think it is. And, kids are fortunate enough that live on the East Coast, like Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York, Rhode Island, even Maine, Vermont, where it's close enough where they can drive the parents can still go to games on Wednesdays, Saturdays, things like that. So, you know, they still get to see them and get touches on them.
Right.
It's harder for people from, you know, Canada, LA, you know, Florida, things like that, where most of the time it's an airplane flight. Right. But what it did was you know, it taught me, like I said, academically, like prep school helped me structurally how to manage my time, how to be able to get my work in and still lifts and still practices. Right. So it really preps you. It's really almost like a shrink college schedule. Right. At the end of the day.
Right.
And when I went to college, it was like prep school was way harder. Like college was so easy. Right. So for me, that's why I'm so into it, because of what it did for me on that side of things academically. Right. And I do think that, you know, the league is very good and strong, and, you know, kids who come from the full season teams have adjustments when they come there. And it's not as easy as it is, you know, like in a full season team. The other thing too is like with the Yale stuff, like big question we get when recruits come on campus is the games. You know, parents like the games, the kids like the games. And that's where the split season hockey comes in, where they're getting 25 games in the fall. Right. And then they're also getting, you know, 24 to 30 games in the winter. Right. You put that together, that equals your full season, you know, thing that they're looking for. Right. And for me personally, I've done full season, and I do believe in full season if you're not ready to make the jump to go to prep. Right. But from a coaching standpoint, like, you get so excited in the fall. It's such a short season. Like we tell our guys at Yale, like, this is not a marathon, it's a sprint. You got to come out of the gates and go. Right. And it's the same thing with prep school. Right. Like you don't have all day. You got to turn things around now. Right. You know, so there's a lot of preparation in the fall on campus. Like, you know, guys are there for hockey, and, you know, we meet with our guys and talk with them. And then eventually when we go into the season, they've been around each other and they're ready to go, you know? So I think there's a lot on that side of things that are effective for us as a team. And obviously we brought in Vince Maltz to work with our Loomis hockey team, which and our coaching staff feels was a huge benefit for us, because we had a really rough January where we lost 5 games in a row and didn't think we'd have a shot at playoffs. And we took a lot of stuff that Vince gave to us with strength finders and things like that, and used that to meet with our players and to give them what they needed to be successful and turn it around. And our back half of the season was our hardest half. And we still beat, you know, Salisbury. That was their only loss, and beat Avon twice, beat Westminster twice. So, you know, that felt good. And granted, like, those are things that are given to our group, and I think benefits us in the long run. You know, another big thing that we get is people come on campus and they're scared of the money, the cost of school. That's something where we say, look, go through the process. There's financial aid. We tell them to fill it out, and we do the best we can to work with them. We don't give money like personally coaches, but they go through the process and admissions, and you know, they qualify. And what I tell people all the time is like, okay, you qualify to pay 35 or 40 or 30, right? And you're already paying 20 to 30,000 a year with a full season team. Yeah. So what I say to them is like, you're not only getting the best of both worlds, you're getting hockey, you're getting education, you're also getting boarding, you're losing your food costs. You don't have to drive them anywhere. Yeah. Everything's taken care of for you.
Exactly.
And the fall cost is so minimal to what a full season team costs to play.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things I think that's so powerful is, you know, we've had a couple of our students, the same thing. They've dealt with it where parents would say, you know, I have to do my strength and conditioning over here. I'm traveling here. Our practices, we have to travel over there. Mm-hmm. And the scheduling of bouncing back and forth throughout the week. And then they've got to still do their homework. They got to come home, they're in the car for an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is. So like that part, I think was the biggest benefit of being able to one-stop shop. Because time and energy, we all know, guys, at the end of the day, time is and energy is everything, right?
Can't buy more time.
No, and that's it. And the reality is, of the biggest benefit, I think, is the fact that your time, the environment, I love the social aspect. There's a balance to it. It's an intentional balance. It's a culture that's designed for that. I think those are the biggest things. And like you said, it's not a huge cost difference in terms of, well, if you're ready to do it, preparation-wise, what it's influencing you to do for college, that's where the route you want to go. It lines up perfectly. Right?
I mean, what I can even kids who are full pay kids, like the reason why prep school is so powerful is because they do gain a lot from going to the schools. Like they offer so much more, even electives, than you're going to get in like a public or a private school out here. I mean, there's so many different things that guys who come, like just speaking from the hockey side of it, right? Like guys who come in to play hockey, they would never do the things that they're doing on our campus, and we're big on kids being good citizens too in the public. So we have guys who run dorms. We have guys who do. They just did Special Olympics at our school.
Oh, that's cool. That's what
the hockey guys ran it. Cool. So there's a lot of different things that we pride on for them, and again, it goes back to being mindful and mindset of what our identity is and what we want from our guys. Like we want to be great in hockey, but we also get respect on campus because we also teach them to be good people and not just like, hockey. Sometimes you can get that stigma of being, not the greatest.
No, exactly. And I think the biggest part, and I'll let you obviously come in there, I think the biggest takeaway, guys, on that too, is that a lot of times what you find especially at the youth level, is that there isn't really a solid standard across the board in the organization. Everybody's kind of on their own page, doing their own thing. And I think what's really powerful is the traditional aspect of, we do have a standard. We do stand for something. Here's what we believe in. You're coming into our culture. This is the experience. Whoever comes in, it's churning out like, this is what we are. And when you come out of here, this is what you're going to be. And that's a big missing ingredient that we see at the youth levels, where every year you can, in the same organization, you can literally have a totally different experience. This coach is this style, this coach is that. We have a totally different system. Players are leaving. I mean, it's all over. Whereas with you guys, there might be some seasons that are great, some seasons that might be a little bit more of a struggle, but ultimately the same message is repeated, and I think it's very important.
Yeah, no, for sure. And another thing too, with that, it's like, you think about full season games, you're in January and February, you've been dragging out a long season, playing 60 to 80 games, whatever your organization wants to play. A big thing too is like kids are driving, say, from New Jersey to go play Philadelphia. They're driving 2 hours to a game. And they're playing a game, and who's there? Right? Like every game we have, there's someone at our games.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? And the
scouts,
other
colleges,
every game, no matter what game it is, if we have a home game in Loomis or we're going to Avon or wherever we're going,
powerful,
there's somebody there. It might not be 50, but there's at least 2 or 3 different schools that are coming. There's USHL guys, whatever it may be, that are coming to the game. So 3 to 5 scouts per game, and we've had coaches drive up to our practices and sit in our room and watch. So they watch them in the game, and now they want to see what their compete level is in practice, how they practice it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that part is good. The other side of it is playing in front of your friends. In a high level hockey. Like you go to a Loomis Salisbury game, packed. Yeah. I mean, we have a lobster tradition at Loomis that I love lobster. We eat it after the game and take pictures of it. But it's a really cool tradition that's been started from one of the goalies. Their father was a lobsterman that had health issues, and the school, like again, we pick each other up and brought each other in and had a lobster tradition. So now, one goes on the ice, the Zamboni guy holds it up, the crowd goes crazy. We do a whiteout day, like the kids bring baby powder, throw it in the air. In the third period, we're playing Trinity Pond, and the ref comes up to our coaching side and goes, the head coach isn't too happy about this whiteout. Like, what do you want us to do about it? So that's awesome. You don't get that with the full season hockey either, where like you got people coming to your games.
That's an experience.
We go play Avon. We go and play Avon, and we're playing at their rink the last game of the year. We ended up winning, and we had literally the Loomis bus kids to the game, just a regular season game. So half of this is Loomis, and the other half is Avon, and they're chirping each other about smart and not smart. Obviously, Loomis is smarter than Avon. But that's awesome. So, I think there's just a lot of good feels about that. And every game means so much.
Yeah.
You know, you play in the full season. I've coached it before. Like you can go like up to where you used to coach Wilkes-Barre, you know, and it's like, okay, we're playing Wilkes-Barre up in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. And we play the game and we go home. And if we lose, we lose. If we win, we win.
Right.
Like there's no like
feel like that. Yeah, that sense of pride.
You know what I mean?
Like, yeah. Of course. So, well, that's the traditional part, right? Like it's like even at the youth level, I remember there used to be rivalries when there was less teams. There'd be that rivalry, like in our area. You know, I got into Junior Flyers. Team Comcast had a pretty good one for a while. We had one with with Team Comcast, Wilkes for a little while. But then, it's like then year to year it kind of changes. It's like, is a rivalry there? It's not consistent. Whereas with you guys, it's consistent. It's always these two schools meet. There's a history. It's like, here we go, right? So it's like that's the traditional part that's pretty badass.
Yeah. I'm gonna butt in. We're going rapid fire.
Yeah, and hey guys, if you have questions, please, right here's
please
the time
ask
right
your
now.
questions. I'm gonna ask some questions that I think or I hope will help you. But if you have others, shoot them over, and we can just answer and move on. And if you guys want to chat more, so. Some of our listeners I know are younger, right? So this prep school talk may be something that maybe they didn't even consider because they're just not of the age. But what age should a family, do you recommend they start the process? And what do they do if they think prep school might be something they want to pursue?
Yeah, I mean, I think for prep school, you start the process like right around that, you know, band on minor, band on major year of, you know, our recommendation, anyone who comes on our campus, even if it's someone we're recruiting, let's just say, or anyone who maybe we don't even know yet and they're inquiring about it. Basically on every prep school website, there's like an online inquiry.
Yep.
So once you fill out the online inquiry, you kind of put like, okay, I'm hockey, baseball, whatever it may be.
Right.
And that kind of, so once you fill that out, now that goes into our database.
Gotcha.
As someone who's potentially interested in the school. You know, definitely email coaches of your schedules and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely talk more about the emailing schedules. Like we always have that question from the guys, like, hey, how should I reach out? Emails, stuff like that. Like, what's a good, like, as a coach, right? Do you want to hear from the advisor? Or do you want to hear from the kid? That's always the one thing, right?
I'd much rather hear from the kid. Yeah. Personally.
Bingo. Exactly.
Hear that?
Hear that, kids?
No, it's hear that, parents. Let them write it.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's a lot more powerful when the kids are reaching out and they're saying, you know, it's showing that, you know, they care, they have interest. And also too, like when the kid's reaching out, I'm like, yeah, I'll definitely go there. If an advisor's reaching out, I'm like, yeah, I'll see if I can get
exactly.
type of thing. Totally. You know? Obviously, we're closer with some maybe advisors than others, so it's more of a relationship trust thing. But you know, at the end of the day, like if you figure it out, like in prep school, like in the wintertime, it's hard, right? So, you know, we do what we can to get to those games, right? And we let them know, you know, listen, like this date, we'll come and check you out. In the fall, there's a lot more flexibility where we're able to do it, and so what I always tell people with that too, with like learning the school and the process, is like come up even in the end of the summer or in the fall if you can, because as the year goes on, it gets harder for kids to get to school because of the full season stuff.
Right.
You have games every weekend. You're traveling all over the place. You have practice and stuff, so it's hard for you. You don't want. A lot of kids are scared to tell their coach, "I'm going to go look at Loomis. I want to go look at A1 Cushing, wherever it is." Right. So they need to set up times where they can come up. Right. When they have time to get it out of the way.
Right.
Do those things early on. And then I always tell people, go to at least 4 or 5 prep schools. Go and walk the campuses. You'll get a feel. It's like when you're going to college, right? If you're looking for a college.
Right, of course.
Same thing.
Yeah, it's like buying a home. Yeah. You'll feel it.
You'll feel it. You'll know. Yeah. So we always say go there. And then obviously you're going to go to, say you go to 6 or 7 or you go to 5. Like there's going to be 3 that really you like. And then there's going to be 2 that you're like, I can go to either one of these most likely. And that third one you like, but then it's going to come down to, now we're going to talk to the coach.
Right.
And we're going to see where we are with them. You know what I mean? And then that 4th and 5th school you might have liked, but maybe there's more of a feel from that coach. And one thing that I do see nowadays with this stuff is some kids are rushing to prep school. Right. And just going to a school that maybe wasn't their choice, right? But they're talk to the coach and they're just like, all right, I should go here. Like I know an example of a player just now that's like, should I go here? Should I go there? I didn't get into the schools that I wanted to go to, you know? And I'm like, if you stay home and just play for your high school team and play fall hockey, then you will have every door open for you.
Right.
You needed one more year to develop.
Advice right there, yeah.
To develop.
That's awesome advice. Give that some love right there.
So, I mean, that's something that kids are rushing just to go to a school.
Right.
And it might not be the best fit for him. Like one of the schools that he chose, like he has very good grades.
Right.
And he could have gone to the Tafts, the Loomises, the Choates.
Right.
And he settled for something that just because he got in and he was like, all right, I just want to go to prep school. So, I mean, that's something that I recommend is just don't rush the process.
Yeah.
You know,
So,
such great advice.
You mentioned something else that I want to bring up that I think, but let's talk grades.
And parents keep the questions coming. We're gonna
get to
Thank
your
you
questions definitely. But I do want to talk about grades because, as we know, like we've had some clients. You know, I think there's a bit of a misconception, right? That you just like you're paying to go to school, you can just get in and it's done. And I think it's important to recognize that just as you need the grades for college, you most definitely need the grades for college.
Yeah, I mean, for us, I mean, our admissions is tough, and if you do well in the classroom now, it makes our job as coaches so much easier with admissions process. Like, there's not a lot we can, because if you have really good grades and you don't test that well, you can still get in. Like, there's support if you have good recommendation, good grades, and your test scores aren't maybe at the top of where they should be. We don't just completely cut you out. But if your grades are bad and then you don't, even if you test well and your grades are bad, that's actually probably worse.
Right. Well, grades are a reflection of effort.
Right.
Truthfully. I mean,
exactly. So for us, grades are good. Then other stuff kind of helps itself out. And I also too, like, even things like if you're home now and you're looking to go to prep, so like even doing stuff for your application, like volunteering at something like a shelter, you know, something community little service. That community service stuff, like those are things that are, you know, big for.
Just like a college, they want a well-rounded person. Right. They 100%. Want that whole thing. So I'm going to get to some of our questions that we have coming through. So Matt wants to know, I've been told many preschools, but I'm assuming that's prep schools, have students coming in held back a year so the school gets that extra year with them. I don't know what the question is.
Yeah, he's talking about saying like, getting more money. So like if they're the
extra year, like hey, you come in, you should be a junior, and then they say, well, go back and sophomore.
Yeah. So that does happen. He is right about that. It's not so much like now it's starting to get a little bit away from that.
Right.
It was very strong, but the USHL is really a powerful league. And so for us, like there's certain kids that we believe should repeat for certain reasons, whether it's academics, they need another year to get in. It could be, maturity. You know, maturity, like you said, strength, they need that extra year. And that's something, again, goes to don't rush the process.
Exactly.
Like repeating that year is not ending your career, and it's helping you become actually a better player down the road. And an example I can give you is the kid Alex Esposito from Loomis. Came in as a repeat sophomore, did 3 years at Loomis, and then he ended up, doing 2 years in juniors. And aged on, and he went to UVM this year as a freshman and was the second leading scorer on the team as a freshman. So his process, he didn't rush it. He trusted it. He went through it. And the reason why he repeated is because he wasn't developed maturity-wise and physically enough to go in as a true junior because he needed that extra year for the college scouts.
Right, exactly.
And the USHL guys, too.
And it's important to, I think, just to point out, too, like that when picking a school that you have trust. I mean, they're looking out for your child's best interest. They're not, based on the goals that you all talk about from the onset, that they work with you as a family to help you accomplish the goals that you've set out. Yeah. So, if you don't have trust in that school or with that coaching staff, those things are going to start to probably really freak you out because they're not easy. Like I could think of as a parent, that would be like a really scary or like kind of a weird situation.
I mean, I could tell you that's why I chose Tabor. Like when I went there, I felt it with the coach right away. Right. I came from LA public schools. And, I struggled my first semester at Tabor. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Not that it's something I want to talk about, but, and this is how close of knit prep school communities are, is my head coach brought me in and said, if you have study hall in my office now. And I literally had to go to his house every night for study hall. And until I figured out how to become a student athlete and do the work, deal with the,
But he cared enough.
That's awesome that coaches like that.
Yeah.
Like, how important is it, right? Like, from a cultural standpoint, standard-wise, right? Like we talk all the time, is like, are you picking the school or are you picking the coach?
Right.
Like, that's a big thing.
And I think at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, I think people need to pick both in some way, shape, or form. Like, obviously, you don't want to just go to, Andover just to say you're going to Andover.
Right.
But I do think that there's some schools that are different for everyone. I mean, there's kids that I've coached in our Yale program that I've wanted to come to Loomis, but they just weren't Loomis kids.
Right.
And I told them not to come here. You know what I mean?
Right.
But they're like, they're great.
And I know you had that question. Loomis
They're
kids.
real players.
Like, culturally, I think you're going to say something about, like, if you wanted to go to Loomis?
No.
No, not that. All right.
I'm going to keep going.
Carry on.
And that was this thing
Don't mind me.
But I was gonna, to feed off of the coach from Tabor, like what he did for me was unbelievable, and also too the teachers and staff at Loomis, or majority, if not all, the prep schools, they do offer a ton of support. Like, I used to go, if you just go to them and ask for help,
right,
they're gonna help you.
Yeah, that's great.
That's awesome.
And so, like, I literally every morning I had extra help with math because I couldn't do it, and now I'm really good at it.
Yeah. I love that.
But if I didn't go, I would have kept, like, my coach told me if I didn't go, I wouldn't play.
Right.
And so
That's
I
the right
made sure
message.
I went,
That's the right message.
Exactly.
All right, I'm going to keep going. So, Jim Wiggins, do most prep schools have a JV and varsity hockey team, or is there another format than traditional high school structures?
Yeah, most teams have JV varsity. We're probably one of the few prep schools that feed off of our JV program. We have every year brought up at least one or two players from our JV program.
That's awesome.
Because we believe in developing the whole program and not just bringing in guys every year. We do want to, and we have kids on the JV that practice with our team and play JV games. Some schools have a varsity B, a JV, and a thirds team, like an Avon. Like, they have a lot of different teams there. But majority of the schools, it's just JV and varsity.
Cool. All right, Danielle, our closest prep school here is Holy Ghost. No boarding, live at home. My son is extremely interested. Can hang in both academics and in hockey. What is the advantage of a prep hockey program versus a traditional Catholic school program?
I don't know the school that they're mentioning, but just from a prep school hockey side of it, like, for what we do, we
like a prep boarding versus a private.
Yeah.
There's some
private school versus
you're getting that. So we have, like, one day student on our team, and he misses out on all those things that are happening at nighttime,
right,
with the guys, or just, you were talking about the social aspect of, like, playing video games in your room at night on a Saturday.
Oh, they do that there?
They have Fortnite?
They have Fortnite.
Like or love if your kids play Fortnite.
And again, I don't know the type of school that she's kind of speaking on, but for us, it's our league in particular, and just there's some really good day student schools in Mass, like Thayer, St. Seb's, like, those are day student schools. They have a good program, so I don't know her program, but one thing I can say is, like, we have, like, a varsity weight room, and the trainer that lifts the team.
Yeah.
They do stretching, they do yoga, we do a lot of mindset stuff, ring fit stuff, like I said. So there's a lot of added things just showing up for practice and playing.
Right.
There's a lot of other factors that go into
right.
What we do is basically you're at college.
Right. No,
is the best way to kind of describe it.
It's giving you that. Yeah, it's giving you that experience, all-encompassing experience.
Right. So when you go to school,
it's like nothing. Like, it's like, okay, I've been here, I've done this. Here we go.
You're getting out of your comfort zone at the end of the day.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, when you're living at home, you're doing the normal stuff that's in your comfort zone. You're always the best player on your team, or whatever it may be. Or your mom's can make you dinner, do your laundry. Like now you're doing things.
Right, exactly. Yeah. What type of personality would you say is like when you say like a Loomis kid? Like what type of personality are you guys are looking for specifically for the culture of Loomis?
You know, when I was saying that, it was more based on academics or work ethic or drive to do your homework and work.
Sure.
To become more of a student at Loomis. Like that's what we look for because we want.
You gotta be driven, like you got.
Yeah, I mean, like the guys who I'm talking about, like they're great kids. They're not bad kids.
Right.
And they're just at a better fit going to a school that's not as academically challenged.
Exactly.
Well, so like you know how some universities too, like they have not every school offers the same major, so to speak, but do different prep schools offer those other like maybe more of like an arts program versus others that maybe so maybe you play hockey but you're also into art, like so there'd be a program.
Loomis is just
or STEM. I'm thinking like you know like science and technology. And
so we had a kid who came on campus. He was a recruit, and he said he was in engineering. Well, we actually offer something at Loomis that works on cars and builds, and they drive it and get it up and running. So I don't know any school in high school that offers that.
No, for sure.
You know, we have a lot of guys going back to Espo again because he was a good kid, but you know, I would be on a tour with someone, and he'd be like, "You gotta show him my art paintings over there." You know, like there's so many more things that he did there,
right.
and got out of his comfort zone that he never would have done at Notre Dame West Haven, which is a private Catholic school.
Right. No, very good point. All right, I'm gonna go a few more here. Chris, are you working simultaneously with both the school admissions and the hockey teams? Does one usually come before the other as far as interest or acceptance? So I guess like more along the lines of do they talk to you first versus admissions? I'm assuming, Chris, is that kind of the?
I mean, basically, when you're dealing with admissions on that side of things, that's like the online inquiry.
Yep.
And then that kind of, you can always set up an appointment. You have to call the admissions office, no matter what, to set up an interview and tour of the school.
But do they have to do that before talking to you? Like,
they
can reach out to hockey first?
They can do that at any time.
But you guys have a nice little marriage, so to speak, with admissions.
Correct. Well, basically,
you can't do one or the other.
Basically, the inquiry, when they put hockey, that goes to our database of kids that are looking at our school, that have interest in our school. So now we have them.
Right. So he has said, yes. Who do you reach out to first?
So he can always reach out. You can always reach out to the coaches no matter what. And then like there's a lot of people that don't know how to reach out to the school, so we tell them how to do it.
Right.
But now that you know, Chris, you can go onto the online inquiry and you can reach out to admissions, but always reach out to the coaches no matter what. And tell them you're coming on a visit. Once you set your tour date, ask them if they're available to meet. The missions do reach out to us too and send us a schedule for every day that there's a hockey player on campus that's inquired about it. We get notice that they're coming to campus. Here's their schedule.
So you guys work very well together.
Yes.
So he has one other. I'm just trying to go through Chris's questions and then we'll go back. But and I think this is an interesting topic. When would you find out or know which team your child will be playing on, JV or varsity? When and how are those commitments made? Is JV a disadvantage if they only get that opportunity? And I think I actually like that question a lot.
Yeah. Tough question.
Yeah.
Really good question. So I think every situation's different. 1 year we brought in 3 freshmen that we told them they were going to be on JV to start. And they would develop in practice, and we saw them as varsity players the following year. And so they all came, and they all made varsity the next year. And we actually brought them up to practice with us throughout the year.
Sure.
There's other kids where we tell them, like, you got to try out and make the team.
Right.
And then there's there's players where we know them, we like them, and we know that we see them as a fit in our varsity locker room.
Right. And is that common across, you would say, like I know it's at Loomis, are you familiar with other schools? Like how, is that typical or is it more like?
I don't want to speak for other schools in that sense, but I would say it's pretty standard. I mean,
and that's something to bring up, I would assume, in your recruiting.
So
like when you're talking to school, those are the questions that you definitely
some schools might not be as honest. If we're just from our staff speaking, because I know our staff, we're very upfront with them and tell them right out of the gate, this is where we see you.
Right, and that's no different really than trying out for your full season team and having a conversation with coaches to find out.
There's always people. There's always people that are fighting.
Right.
For those final spots to make the team. And that's a fair question to ask.
Sure. And there was another one from Jim. Do most prep schools use the PSAT scores with grades? If so, what is an ideal score you should be getting on the PSAT test?
So we do accept the PSATs. We do, most of the kids take SSATs. Okay. It's a prep school test. The PSATs, I don't know, because a lot of them, we do accept them and they look at the averages, but 90% of the people that are applying, if they're not going in as a PG, they've already taken SATs.
Right.
They would take SSATs. The only time we really tell people do PSATs, if it's a player that's like really last minute, that doesn't have time to take the SSATs.
Gotcha.
And the SSATs, I mean, the overall average, like, you know, for just a regular Loomis student is probably 80% down, you know, and the hockey team, I don't know what that percentage is.
Fair enough. Fair
we
enough.
Will see.
It's not 80%.
Yeah.
and honestly, that's where it comes down to, too. It's just like if you're doing really well with your grades.
Right.
And your test scores aren't where, like, you know, just the normal student's going to, that's where you get.
Right.
It's a great example is I coached Keith Elaine's kid for 4 years. Yeah. He's the head coach at Yale. And there's a couple kids I got into Yale that I actually know. I was like, how did you get these kids in? Yeah. he goes, the hardest part is getting them in.
Right.
He's like, once they're in,
yeah,
they're not leaving because we make sure they do well.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the same thing with us.
The hard part, though, you got to do the work with your grades. You can't just be a hockey player anymore and not make grades. Grades are so important. And we talked about it last night at the opening ceremonies about grades. And
it just makes your process so much easier.
I do want to just take a moment that if you guys really like today, if you know anyone that you think may find this information valuable, prep school, share. Just hit that share button. Just do it. So we're really trying to get the word out. But if you know anyone that you think could benefit from this information, please hit that share button. Give us a like, a love. Somebody gave us an anger.
I know somebody's angry at this.
Who's angry?
Somebody off.
Who's
It's probably me. I probably pissed off somebody. We'll see afterwards. Somebody's angry. Yeah, somebody's anti-prep. Exactly.
Couple other, just do grades change that percentile? I think the percentile was of how they tested, right? So the grades don't.
Some kid has a 4.0.
GPA is lower, SSAT work.
Yeah, I mean, like they take everything into account.
Right.
So I mean, every kid's situation is different. Right. They read the teacher recommendations. I'm not in admissions, so I don't know all their thought process that goes into everything. Yeah. But yeah, they definitely take into account if the kids at a 4.0, the test is a little lower. Mm-hmm. They all take that into account, and every situation is different.
Absolutely.
And how much of a difference does it make? You know, like a big thing we'll always see is like being in a prep school environment versus another school. How much of a difference does it make with the colleges of that you're coming out of prep versus a different one? Is there like those advantages? Because I hear sometimes parents will bring that up of like, well, if I go to prep school, it's like almost like they're thinking it's going to guarantee me into getting into schools, but we both know it's not. But ultimately, is there that advantage?
I think that there's some way, shape, and form, some advantages in certain ways, but I also think that I don't know if I would look at it as like advantages. I just think you're much stronger when you're going into school.
Right.
You're much more prepared to live on your own. You're
That's more. I mean, kids who go to their local high schools are still going to college.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't want to sit here and say like, oh, if you go to Loomis, you're going to go to Yale.
No,
that's not where
I do think it was really interesting to point out though that the number of scouts that attend, like even because around here, we have games all the time. There's no scouts, so the fact that you like have scouts that like pop by a practice and games, and it may not be 40 of them, but the fact that there's somebody, you're in an environment, especially in that New England, Connecticut's part of New England, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I do that? I don't know. But it's you know, that you're in that world. You're in the drivable distance of so much of that it puts you, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's, you know, like we tell everyone everyone wants Division One, which is awesome, and that's what we want people to want. But there's a lot of really good Division III schools out there, and there's a lot of NESCACs, and there's a lot of schools that aren't NESCACs that are still great schools and good hockey programs, and so that those are a lot of schools that even come besides even D1. Like they hound our
amazing programs. So, all right.
Awesome.
Well,
anything else, guys?
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I learned a lot today.
Yeah,
I really didn't know that much about prep school.
Yeah.
And I think too, like we're in Southern New Jersey, is that we don't have, like, I feel like in New England there's so many, and it's such a part of life.
Mass, Connecticut.
Yeah, you guys have
there's
a lot.
Ton of.
It's the norm.
Yeah, and that's why you don't see really that many full season teams in Connecticut or strong full season teams in Connecticut, because of the fact that there's so many prep schools in that area.
Right.
You know, like, I don't even know how many there are, to be honest with you, but there's a lot.
Yeah.
and so it's hard to tell someone when they're seeing like the split season teams having so much success, and people look at my hockey rankings and they're in the top 10, 20, whatever it is. And then their prep school seasons and they're having a blast doing that. I think, like I said, I go back to, it's just fun.
Right.
It's literally fun. Like the kids, like their peers are able to walk to the rink and watch them and cheer them on and rattle the other team, and like the locker room, like you're in our locker room and you can literally hear them in between periods, like just chanting, screaming. Like,
and that makes a huge difference, right? In our area, there's not a lot of teams that are like very good at hockey, but the kids still go do it that are playing, and they're doing it because they love the fans. It's awesome. You're getting a few hundred to maybe, whatever. I don't think anybody gets 1,000, not even close to that. But I know the schools, right? You get that. You get 1,000 plus.
That's part of the reason too. Like we tell people, like that play for our Yale 15 team. It's not all prep school kids. There's high school kids.
Right.
And in New Jersey, you can play both, like for your high school and for your full season team. But in Connecticut, you can't.
Right. Exactly.
And so we tell people, like, just go play for your high school for a year. Like you're going to go to prep school after that. Right. You know, and they've been doing it. Nick Capone, prime example. I mean, he's going to the USHL next year, and he was just at Salisbury.
And
the following year before that, he played on our Yale 15 team, committed to Maine, and went and played in East Haven and had 100 points. And they had signs of his head up saying, mass murderers coming into the rink, and he had the time of his life. He had newspapers, and he was the king.
Oh, yeah.
And that's all part of it. And it's okay to
play
have
for that feeling.
Of course, play for that feeling. Play for that
Absolutely.
feeling, for sure.
Should we finish up with one more question? Here we go.
Any guidance on how to identify
more academically rigorous prep schools? So is there a source or somewhere where you can find out, or is it more just visiting school, researching online? Does that kind of tell you, like, who cares more? I guess more academically.
I don't know if there's an actual website that rates them, but I guarantee you.
Excuse me, I'll be right back.
if you Google, like prep schools, if you just Google like prep schools, there's something that comes up. I mean, they have rankings of top 10 schools or whatever it is, and you can look and see and
well, the league you guys are a part of, right?
We're in the Founders League. It's arguably the top league in prep hockey. I don't want to get any more angry. Hit the anger. But I mean, there's some really very high academic schools like Tufts and Chokes and Deerfields and Hotchkiss, and then you have Salisbury. And again, like I love the Salisbury staff, and I love Avon, Gunnery, and those schools. They're just different fits for different players and different kids. And it doesn't, like, personally, I never would have went to Loomis. Like, for me, it wasn't for me as a kid and a player. Right. I wouldn't have lasted there.
Right. And you want to find an environment that's where your kid's going to thrive, not just where you want to, like, push them to, like, you have to go to this kind or whatever. Like you have to, especially if they're going to leave home.
You want the kids to succeed in preps. What you were talking about doing all the school and grades. You want to make sure that they're not going to drown.
Yeah.
You know,
you want to set them up for success.
Right. And I can tell you on our team, and again, we don't have all the brightest bulbs, but no one has C's.
You know, this is out on the interwebs, right?
No one has C's on their report cards. And if they do get a C, our other assistant coach finds out about it, and then we address the issue and make sure that we get it handled. Oh,
yeah. Cushing? Is that Cushing?
Cushing's a good school. My brother went there.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I want to thank you so much.
Yeah, that was awesome.
We're holding you hostage here, literally in our house, and we can go on.
Here.
Yeah.
Your phone's going to be blowing up later. But thank you so much for your insight. I learned a lot. I'm sure many of our parents definitely learned a lot. And if you've got more questions, let us post them below. We talk about stuff like this all the time in our OMG group. So if you're interested in joining Own My Game, just put OMG below in the comments and we'll send you more information on that. If you found any value in this whatsoever and there might be someone that you think should really hear the message, hit that share button. That's all I got. Let's go Team Bloodline. Let's see what we got this week for WSI. So
AK bars, Russia next.
And I do want to just say real quick that Tuesday, next week's show we're doing on Tuesday, not Thursday. And we will have another special guest. We will have Daryl Belfry with us on Tuesday as we dive into some real meat of, what would you say, player development?
Yeah,
a real heavy player development call with Belfry on Tuesday, 11 a.m., same place right here. So definitely don't miss that one.
No doubt.
They're like an infomercial.
Yeah, there's Casey. Hogan's gone. Tremino, baby, Tremino.
Yeah.
I tried to put the bottle up.
I know, we gotta get Tremino up in here, man.
Tremino, but
Bloodline Tremino, come on. It'll look good, Case.
All right. Well, you guys have a great day. As always, if we can help, hit us up here or in our Beyond the X's and O's group here on Facebook. But bye.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. See you.